This is the Making Noise podcast.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think people need to kind of through all this is like everyone has their own coping mechanisms that they use or that they need to use in order to handle certain situations, especially something like this that's so unprecedented. And whatever each person needs to do for themselves is what they should do.
Yeah.
Whether you view it as like an artist residency or like a time to reflect on the horrors of the world or whatever, like if that's what you need to do it in order to feel present in the moment or get to the next moment, that's probably what you should do.
Yeah. I might misquote this, but one of the professors at UNT, Kirsten Broberg, gave a presentation about how when everything kind of came to a screeching halt, she found herself not working on anything. Like all of her projects got put off for like a year at least, or whatever.
Real quick, what is her field?
Kirsten Broberg, she's a composer.
Okay.
Music's really good. Check her out. Check out UNT stuff. But she gave a presentation about kind of reflecting on like identity and like who she is as an artist and like a person, because she found all of her projects came to like a halt and she didn't really have anything to work on with like urgency. I think she said it was the first time that had happened in like 15 years or something. So she was able to like really reflect on her work and like reflect on what matters to her as an artist and that kind of thing. That's not productive in the sense of creating content, but that's incredibly productive in terms of the content you're going to make later.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's really important. Like, even if you're not writing, but you're like thinking about it, they think that's that's good. That's productive in the long run. Because you're learning about yourself and how you work and that kind of thing.
That's one of the things, honestly, I think that has been a for me especially, like a lot of reflection this past year.
Because you started your like website, your collaborative composer kind of ethos statement, like that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't write shit unless the performer is like, I rely heavily on the performer's input and everything with stuff like that, and that's why I sort of realized I was like, yeah, I need to put it out there that I'm like, what I do is a collaboration of can you do this? What does it sound like? How does it work? Where's your limits? How often, like, because you were just mentioning Catherine, is that her name?
Kirsten,
sorry.
Kirsten Broberg. Yeah.
Kirsten Broberg. She had this huge sort of moment this past year with her. That's crazy that for 15 years she's been so active, and then all of a sudden it's like
it might not have been 15 years, but yeah, it was like a while.
yeah, just that alone. I mean, like that definitely necessitates that sort of reflection, I think, in order to continue moving forward. But how often do you find yourself in these days with being self-reflective, or are you not at all?
How often am I self-reflective?
Yeah, to the extent where like you're going as far as Kirsten did with like, what is my artistic purpose, or what am I trying to accomplish?
I think about that all the time. Because I feel like I've only just in the last couple of years started to really be able to grasp it. So I think about that all the time, but the kind of big thing is what we were talking about earlier, just like engaging and doing it and like participating, and like it's kind of a radical naivety about like creating and like doing and acting and like having that kind of affirmation. There's an Idols record came out a couple years ago. You would like Idols. You should listen to them.
Just Idols?
Yeah. Their record is called Joy as an Act of Resistance. And like just that title resonates with me a lot, like, because that's just kind of how I feel working and like writing. I don't even like using the word working, because it doesn't, like, sometimes it's laborious, yeah, but it's like, this is my jam. This is just what I like to do. Like this is how I like to spend my time, thinking about it, reading it, writing it, like whatever. Like that's just kind of what gets me going. Maybe one day that'll change, and maybe one day I'll find everything just kind of stops. But right now, that's not where I'm at. Again, that says nothing of quality. Everything I wrote this year might be complete shit, but like it, it feels good to be doing it, and like that's doing it is what I care about a lot more. I'm working right now. I've been working on this like series of pieces that I call grid pieces. That orchestra piece that we've referenced like 3 times as part of. But I was talking to Anton Boyer on the phone a couple days ago. He's a composer, like kind of like the patriarch, I guess is the best way of saying it, of the Von Leweisser collective. Although he might not like hearing me say that. I don't know. But we were talking about just like writing and stuff, and he was like, you should write one of these grid pieces a day for a year. So I've been doing that. I wrote one this morning. It might not be good, but like doing it, like engaging with it, participating in it. Maybe it'll never be performed, maybe it will. Like, who cares? It's that initiation of like the creative act that I love. That's it's kind of what I hang my hat on at the end of the day. And I think somebody asked me a couple days ago, they were like, how have you been so productive through this? And it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I just write. Like, that doesn't tell you if any of it's good or not. It's just, this is what I like doing, and this is my jam. And I list it on my website when it's done because somebody told me during an entrepreneurial class one time that I should. Like, it's just what I do. I finish it, I put it up, and I go to the next one. Like, yeah.
I like that a lot, man. That's very like process driven.
Maybe. I don't think I have a process. I just like do stuff. Sometimes like every piece is a little bit different, but that's part of the fun. So when you're like, do you feel like you're engaged? Like, yeah, that's part of my engagement with stuff, is just trying stuff. Like, these grids are part of a huge like sproth of things. But that book of piano preludes I wrote, I was thinking about collections. Like, what is like a collection of things? And like books of preludes and etudes and stuff are kind of like the gimmies for classical music. Like, historical Western classical music is like kind of the go-to for some of that. Like, I have a keyboard, whatever, so I can write these piano preludes and like explore what that means to me, which was challenging and fun. I had conversations with a friend of mine about writing a woodwind quintet, which, no offense to any woodwind players out there, but I think the woodwind quintet is one of the most collegiate and lame sounding ensembles. So I was like, how can I tackle that ensemble to really make it something that I like? Because I don't think I've ever heard a woodwind ensemble, or woodwind quintet. Sorry, a woodwind quintet. I don't think I've ever heard a woodwind quintet that I was like, yeah, this is my jam. So I wanted to make one that I really liked, which was really hard, but it was really fun.
So you did write the piece, though?
I did. It's been performed. Yeah, the recording's meh. We're gonna do a studio recording in January. That was a fun kind of problem solving for COVID thing, because at UNT performances still happen, but obviously you have to be really careful about like space and time, and they call woodwind instruments super emitters, so you have to be careful about like keeping people 12 feet apart, only playing for like 30 minutes and then leaving the room for 30 minutes. So it has all that kind of challenges. But yeah, we did the piece. It happened. It was cool. The recording just didn't end up coming out the way I wanted it to. So we're going to do it again and get a better recording. But that was also one of my, I don't do a ton of stuff with microtones. At least like quarter tones specifically. And so I wanted to do that too. So I kind of did 2 things at the same time with that piece.
Was this a grid piece as well?
No, that was an explicitly notated piece. Yeah, that was a lot more like traditionally performed, written kind of thing. But that's that reflection in creation kind of thing. Like, I've never written a woodwind quintet. I don't really like woodwind quintets in general. I think the oboe and bassoon are the hardest two instruments for me to write for, and they're both in that ensemble. And, you know, I kind of suck at using quarter tones in my music, but I like them. So how can I make a thing that does all of that I like? Is that kind of reflective space. And then like trying stuff like that rhymes with opera thing I was talking about earlier. I wrote a piece for voice and tape, which I had never done that before. Tape, it was a fixed media thing, but I'd never done that before, so that was like a fun little challenge. Yeah, that kind of just thinking about stuff. I wrote that a bass flute piece for Natalie Magana, who was on your podcast also, and I wanted to like really stretch out what I thought was like melodic continuity. So that piece is like really well, most of my music is really sparse, but that piece is like a little tune that's just like extracted apart and whatever. And that was kind of that challenge for that piece, just something I was thinking about at the time.